Hi guys, me again. My name is Andrew Marklitz, and this video is going to be from Apologetics Roadshow. I haven't seen it yet. I do love his channel. David Wood is an awesome apologist. I really love a lot of his content. He really does a good job and a lot of good work. This is a very Muslim focused, and I was honestly surprised catching a lot of his live streams why he wasn't speaking about Zohran Mamdani more, because it will become a problem for America, and it will probably become a big collision point for America if that man gets fully elected. Because for a multitude of reasons, and I'm sure he's going to get into them, but I'll just say that. I have no hatred towards Zohran Mamdani, but his ideas, his policies will be a major problem. They will not help, they will hurt. I hope we get into that.
New Yorkers have decided to turn the Big Apple into the Big Crapple. They climbed to the top of Freedom Tower, the new World Trade Center, after the previous World Trade Center mysteriously disappeared. They looked across the Atlantic Ocean and saw London being rapidly transformed into a Sharia-compliant hellhole, and they asked themselves, how can we make that work here?
Yeah. And that's getting into this. London will become New York's future. London is not a good place right now. I've seen a lot. I've got friends in Britain, so I look into Britain a lot because I've got friends over there. London is not doing good. This is why it is important to make sure those you are bringing in are willing to assimilate to your culture and willing to join you. Because if not, they are just as inclined to conquer you.
And they realized that all they needed was a mayor like Sadiq Khan, someone who could play the fiddle as the city burns to the ground. Sorry, no fiddle. Music is haram. But New Yorkers found someone even better than Sadiq Khan. They found a 34-year-old Muslim socialist shouting free bus rides, free childcare, and, of course, free Palestine.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Unlike a lot of people, he knows exactly what that means. Because as we're probably going to get into, free Palestine doesn't mean Palestine is its own individual free state. No, the often phrase that is often added to free Palestine is from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. And that is a call for genocide. I'm just going to say it again. I'd rather just be straight up honest and true with my words. I don't like censoring myself, so yeah, just gonna be honest and true. Don't need to do this for the money.
Free Palestine! Free Palestine!
Zohran Mamdani has absolutely no credentials, but he does have an amazing ability to combine every deranged far-left policy you can think of with Islamic supremacist victimhood propaganda. And that, apparently, is now enough to get you elected mayor of New York City. I wasn't terribly interested in this meteoric rise of Mamdani. I actually thought it was kind of funny in a you asked for it New York and now you're going to get it kind of way.
Yeah,
But then I saw that Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib posted this. Our joint statement on the...
I think David forgot this about a lot of Muslims, is Muslims view the entire world in the perspective of them against the world. They don't care where you came from. If you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. It is an insulated group. It is insulated thinking. And the other thing about Islam is it does not honestly like conversation if you go through its history. So it will easily stand together, and they will easily make statements like this to attack you, to shut you down, to put you in your place as a non-Muslim, and get you to submit in one way or another.
Vile, anti-Muslim, racist attacks on Zohran.
And I want to be clear, they do that once they can get in power. I really recommend you take a read and you take a listen to Apologetics Roadshow here, Inspiring Philosophy, God Logic, all of these guys. I really recommend you take a read on them. I really do. You will find what I mean by all this. Like, they've done a far better job than I ever can. They have so much of a wealth of information on this that I almost feel like, while I could join in on the party, I feel called elsewhere to join in on the party. And that's kind of what I want to do with my channel. I'm also not fully ready to jump into apologetics. I need to read more, learn more. So that's why I haven't fully jumped in on that boat yet.
Mamdani. Muslim American members of Congress call out vile anti-Muslim racist attacks on Zohran Mamdani. Today, Representatives Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, Andre Carson, and Latifah Simon, all four of whom exhibit that same fascinating combination of Islamist and far leftists that we see oozing from Mamdani, released the following joint statement. The vile, anti-Muslim, and racist smears from our colleagues on both sides of the aisle attacking Zohran Mamdani cannot be met with silence. These hateful, Islamophobic, and racist tropes have become so entrenched and normalized in our politics. We know these attacks all too well. At a time of increased violence against elected officials, we cannot allow the attacks on Zohran Mamdani to continue. They directly contribute to the ongoing dehumanization and violence against Muslim Americans.
I would believe that statement if you can point to me a mosque getting shot up in America by a hate monger, by someone who's doing this vile stuff. I can think of several church shootings in the recent year, and I would be shocked if a shooting in a mosque wasn't national news. So that's why I asked this. I know of dozens of church shootings. I think there were 12 in the last 2 years. So this is ridiculous. And honestly, this is a lot of time what Islam does when it gains power. It says, you're attacking us, you're attacking us, you're attacking us, you're attacking us, you need to be suppressed, you need to be suppressed, you need to be suppressed. And they go through with that. And then once they have you suppressed, well, go ask Iran. Go ask any, I think it's 33 countries out of 56 majority Muslim countries that run Sharia law. How that runs. Go ask them.
We unequivocally reject the normalization of anti-Muslim hate and fear-mongering and call on elected leaders across our country to speak out. Now, when I see a congresswoman pulling the vile, anti-Muslim, racist, Islamophobic, violence, dehumanization, fear-mongering card from
all of the keywords, man. All of the keywords. The classic leftist playbook that Islam has tagged itself to, because I'll just be honest with you, the left is a weak and easy to topple over thing. It has no structure in its beliefs. I have this saying that I came up with: atheism or secularism is a stump in the tree of the woods of religion. When the storm comes, it gets blown over. But before the storm comes, it gets to pile on a bunch of sticks and leaves and branches from all of the other things and call itself good. But when the storm comes, when hard times come, it gets blown out of the water. It gets blown away. It falls and crumbles over. Because it's a rotted stump. It has no roots that hold it to the ground.
The bottom of the desperation deck, I start wondering why she's trying so hard to manipulate people into keeping their mouths shut. Think about it. 4 Muslims who were elected to serve in the United States.
Yeah, it's interesting how all of these people are elected officials, but they consider themselves to be the victim, right? They're victims, right? They're in the highest seats of authority and power that you can get in the United States. The only thing higher would be President of the United States. But they're victims. Sadiq Khan calls himself a victim. He is the mayor of London, the largest city in Britain. I want to say the current president, what is it called? Prime Minister of London. Great Britain, is also Muslim. And he will continuously call himself a victim. Like, it's horrifying, the playbook that they use.
Congress are trying to silence critics of a Muslim immigrant who's about to be mayor of New York.
I was about to say, so this dude's an immigrant and about to be a mayor, but like, you know, America's incredibly racist, anti-immigrant, we hate everybody, blah, 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 blah. Yet people are about to freely elect a Muslim immigrant as their mayor. But we're racist, we're awful, we're evil, we're horrible people, right? We're not allowed to judge, we're not allowed to say a word, we're not allowed to say anything, right? You can't speak on these things. It's evil, you're vile, you're wrong, you're terrible. You're racist. I stopped caring about the labels a long time ago. More so, I really stopped caring about the labels this year.
City by complaining about how they're all being dehumanized and persecuted in this racist, Islamophobic country. When I see something like that, I automatically think, oh, you don't want to answer the criticisms, so you're trying to silence the critics. Now
Agreed.
You've got my attention.
Yep.
And when I thought more about Zohran Mamdani, I realized that he's significantly more dangerous than people think. Because he's not just a toxic mixture of 2 political ideologies that destroy societies, he's the fulfillment of a strange prophecy I heard shortly after the 9/11 attacks from my dear Muslim friend Nabil Qureshi.
Yeah.
Let's learn a little more about Zohran Mamdani, and then I'll tell you about a very disturbing Muslim prophecy that's about to be fulfilled. But first, speaking of prophecies, Muhammad told his followers in Sahih Muslim, "The hour will not begin until the Muslims fight the Jews, and the Muslims will..."
FYI, by the way, this is a real passage in the Quran. This is real words in the Quran. What he is showing you is directly in the Quran. I've paused it so that people can read it. Like, I'll just openly say it. I will never be for Islam. I am against their religion. I am not against their people. I am against the religion. I am against their concept. Just like I am against communism. I am against the concept of communism. Against the concept of socialism. Against these ideals, these ideas, because they are bad and wrong. And also are directly contrary to the Christian ideals and the Christian belief system.
Kill them until a Jew hides behind a rock or a tree, and the rock or tree will say, "O Muslim, O slave of Allah, There is a Jew behind me. Come and kill him. Except the garkid, a thorny tree, for it is one of the trees of the Jews. When it comes to...
We love the garkid, by the way. We love the garkid. The garkid's a W. They got a great shirt. I really recommend you go buy their merch.
To Islamists, their main target right now isn't New York City, even though New York City is quite the trophy. Their main target is Israel. Conquering Israel by any means necessary is
Agreed.
the main stepping stone on...
And this is what a lot of people don't realize, why it is such a big deal for us to care about Israel to any degree. Is that we have to care about Israel because if the Muslims gonna blow that place up, they're not stopping with Israel. I will promise you that. They are not stopping with Israel if they blow up Israel, if they get rid of Israel, if they conquer Israel, they destroy Israel. They're not stopping there. If you think that, you need to go read the last 1,500 years of history, honestly.
the way to restoring the caliphate, hence the endless terrorist attacks. But as is so frequently the case when terrorists do what they do, it's the ordinary people trying to live normal lives who suffer. Many Christian families in Israel, for instance, rely on tourism for their livelihood. They have shops or restaurants near important sites, so there are usually plenty of customers. Then there's a terrorist attack and a war breaks out, and no more customers.
Ugh.
How are mom and dad going to feed their kids? This is what we call economic jihad.
Yeah.
Fortunately, there's a way you can help. There's a company called Artsa that comes up with a new Bible theme every few months and
I'm gonna let this play.
gathers products around that theme
Yeah.
from local artisans in Jerusalem and Nazareth and Bethlehem and other locations and ships them to you in a box. If you sign up with Artsa, you'll get candles, Israeli spice mixes, olive wood carvings, mosaic art, decorations, cosmetics, candy, soaps, jewelry, games, all kinds of things, straight from the land where Jesus walked, delivered right to your door. There's
That's
a new
awesome.
theme every season, 4 new boxes every year. So, click the link in the description box and sign up for a quarterly Artsa box. You'll be helping people out during difficult times and getting some awesome items in return. Now, back to New Dearborn City. Sorry, New York City. There are 2 political ideologies that never manage to create societies that anyone actually wants to live in: Islamism and socialism. But for some reason, people keep thinking that if we simply combine these 2 political ideologies that bring nothing but delusion and destruction, we'll somehow get a utopia. But let's face it, combining Islamism and socialism and thinking it will produce a good political system is like combining bleach and rubbing alcohol and thinking it will produce a good energy drink.
It's true.
Islamism and socialism, as disastrous as they are individually, do not mix well because they make very different, even contradictory, claims about how to govern.
Yes, they
So,
do.
when we hear about an Islamist socialist going into politics, we might wonder, is this guy an Islamist pretending to be a socialist or a socialist pretending to be a Muslim?
Yep.
Some people think Zohran Mamdani is an Islamist pretending to be a socialist. Why would they think that? Well, they've noticed that his talking points when he's speaking to Muslims are sometimes different from his talking points when he's speaking to non-Muslims. He always talks about making New York City affordable, but when he's speaking to Muslims, his message is also about Muslims needing to have more political power and about Islamophobes trying to keep Muslims from having more political power.
Yup.
I'm proud to stand here as the first Muslim elected official to ever run for mayor in the history of New York City. I am proud to be a Muslim candidate running for mayor. As we all know, to be a Muslim in public life is to open yourself up to being called whatever it is that someone may desire. The first day I launched the campaign, I was called a terrorist. Those attacks have only increased. And Andrew Cuomo has started to send pieces of mail to voters across the city of New York that have artificially darkened and lengthened my beard. Alhamdulillah, there are a million Muslims in this city.
How poor and stressful it is for you.
200,000 of us are registered to vote.
How hard your life is running as a mayoral candidate, I bet. How hard it is, bro. How hard it is.
Democrats. With early voting starting tomorrow, it is an opportunity. An opportunity for us to show that Muslims don't just belong in New York City, we also belong in City Hall. This election is one where we can finally decide if we want to see ourselves in our own politics.
And like poor, persecuted Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib and poor, rich, persecuted Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, he's really quick to pull the Islamophobia card.
Growing up in the shadow of 9/11, I have known what it means to live with an undercurrent of suspicion in this city. I will always remember the disdain that I faced, the way that my name could immediately become Muhammad. To be Muslim in New York is to expect indignity. The dream of every Muslim is simply be treated the same as any other New Yorker. And yet for too long, we have been told to ask for less than that and to be satisfied with whatever little we receive.
And
there are still...
I'm sure you've been asked to receive less than that. I'm sure you have. Wasn't it, I think it was like literally like 2 weeks later after the 9/11 attacks, like Bush did his whole speech on like don't hate their religion, these are extremists, blah 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 blah. Like, this is the problem, is that most Muslims barely even read their Quran. They're as bad at it as Christians are. And you already know my definition of reading. It's not hearing it. It's not it's not hearing it. It's not what do I call it? Fishing in it. It's not anything like that. And what I mean by fishing is there's a lot of times that people will just fish for things out of the Bible. And I'm sure there's plenty of things with Muslims where they just fish for things out of the Quran. You can't go fishing in books that, if they're cohesive, and I will make this statement now, from what little I read of the Quran, it is not a very cohesive piece. It was incredibly hard to read, and I just stopped reading it because, it was just a hard read. I started going to channels like this, and other channels at first, but then moved to these to get a better understanding of it. And, well, the Quran is bizarre in that it's very plain text. It doesn't often use a lot of metaphor. It's very literal text. But at the same time, it jumps time zones. It jumps around. It's a hard piece to read. And it's somewhat uninteresting. Is the only way I can describe it. You read the Bible, you'll probably want to keep reading the Bible for like a chapter or two before your eyes get tired, because it's a very complex text. It's a very depthy, thinky kind of text. It makes you have to do a lot with your brain. It uses a lot of your brain power. The Quran does that in a way of like being just a hard read. Like, it's not put together well, is the only way I can describe it.
Certain forms of hate that are acceptable in this city. One can incite violence against our mosques and know that condemnation will never come. More than 1 million Muslims in this city.
And I should mention that's partially because the Quran is structured in the fact that I believe they did it the longest chapters to the, or I think it was either the longest books to the shortest books. They didn't do it chronologically. The Bible was actually set up pretty chronologically, is how they set everything up in there. The only thing that isn't set up chronologically is Acts, which goes over a brief respite of everything that happened before you get into Paul's letters, and things like that. So Acts gives you the timeline, and then you get the letters afterwards that happen in that timeline, which still makes somewhat chronological sense because everything before that was a chronology. It was one event led to another, led to another, led to another. This is why I often say in some of my older videos, the Bible is a giant highlight reel. It's going over the biggest events in history, in the eyes of God, basically. The big pop-off moments that were him showing himself to the world and written down.
Existing all while being made to feel as if we are guests in our own home.
Some of Mamdani's rap songs from his short-lived rap career have resurfaced. I've listened to a couple of them, and I'll just say that whatever you think this guy will do as mayor of New York City, whether you think he's going to burn this city to the ground or turn it into a paradise of free everything, we can all agree that Zohran Mamdani will be a far better mayor than he ever was a rapper. His song Salam begins with this.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. After saying Assalamu alaikum in an auto-tuned robot voice a bunch of times, he starts rapping about his phooey, his aunt. He says he's worried about his poor aunt because she's a Muslim who lives in racist New York City.
Thinking of my phooey, a hijab on her head. What will she face? What will be done and said?
Turns out she's too scared to leave her apartment or ride the train because of all the Islamophobes.
She doesn't walk outside.
Was this the same aunt that we now know lives in Tanzania and doesn't wear a hijab?
Doesn't ride the train because she's terrified of the common pain.
I don't want to keep torturing you like this, so I'll just read
Thank you,
the
David.
lyrics.
Please don't.
Thinking of my phooey, my aunt, her hijab on her head, what will she face? What will be done and said? Fear, fear, it never ends. A glance, a word, who knows what it will portend? She doesn't walk outside, doesn't ride the train, 'cause she's terrified of the coming pain from the words, looks, grabs and shoves. Man, she knows not who to trust.
Huh. That didn't
Zohran.
that wasn't even that good of a flow. Like, I'm a music nerd. I was in orchestra for many years. I do know music. I can't write it, but I can listen to it and tell you, for the most part, whether or not it's pretty good or pretty bad. I was a violist for 8 years of my life, so I at least have a decent understanding of music. You played some pretty good pieces. That is terrible.
Was so deeply affected by his aunt's fear that he continues using it as he campaigns to become the mayor of the city that treated her so terribly.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Of course, Zohran's critics pointed out that his aunt didn't live in New York City at the time and that she didn't even wear a hijab. So he had to clarify that he was really talking about his father's cousin, whose fear of riding the subway in her hijab only came to an end because she died.
I was speaking about Zehra Fouhi, my father's cousin, sadly passed away a few years ago.
Thank you, Zohran Mamdani, for letting us know about all the New York City Muslims who are too scared to leave their apartments or ride the train because of all the racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigots in New York City, the most evil city on the planet. But I have a quick question. Are Muslim women in New York City really being horribly harassed and abused by random New Yorkers? Were they being terrorized after 9/11? There are more than 750,000 Muslims in New York City and more than 1.5 million Muslims in the greater New York metropolitan area. Are people pestering them, assaulting them, persecuting them?
What are the crime rates on them like?
Zohran says there are Muslim women who live in constant fear because New York City is such a dangerous place for Muslims. If you simply step outside wearing a hijab, New Yorkers will savagely abuse you. It's like the reverse of Iran, where they savagely abuse a woman for not wearing a hijab. Only difference is, it's not imaginary in Iran.
Yeah.
Now, think about the hypocrisy here. If a Christian woman said, after 9/11, I'm scared to leave my apartment because Muslims just killed thousands of people, and I'm worried that Muslims might kill me, how would Zohran respond?
Probably.
He'd call her a racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot.
I was about to say, that's exactly what he'd call her.
How dare you be afraid of Muslims in general? If a Jewish woman in New York said today, I'm scared to ride the subway because there are Muslims screaming, globalize the Intifada, and I'm worried that Muslims are going to kill me, how would Zohran respond?
Yep.
He'd
Hold on. Let me get this. He would call them Islamophobic, racist, and how dare they generalize all Muslims.
Call her a racist, Islamophobic, hate-mongering bigot. How dare you be afraid of
Okay. I missed a few words. I'm sorry. I missed a few words. I'll do better next time. I promise.
Muslims in general. But if a
See, I'm bad with leftism. I just can't label people that many things because I just don't care enough about labels oftentimes. So this is why I could never be a leftist. I suck at labels, sticking them to people and just battering a bunch of labels onto somebody. I'm really bad at it.
A Muslim woman says, I'm scared to leave my apartment in New York City because of all the non-Muslims out there who are going to abuse me because I'm wearing a hijab, how would Zohran respond?
Oh?
He'd say, look at what...
This is funny because you don't know anything about this man. This man is a psychopath. This man struggles to cry. So this is extra funny. He's trying to cry. And that's not an insult. That's not an insult. He would never take that as an insult. He genuinely is, he's not a psychopath, he's a sociopath, sorry. He genuinely is a sociopath. Like, go watch his testimony videos, you think I'm lying. He genuinely is a sociopath. But it's funny, because he's trying to imitate crying. He obviously really can't. And Zohran does the same thing, where he, like, fake cries whenever he's, like, bringing up these horrible things on his mistreatment of his aunt who lived in Tanzania and wasn't wearing a hijab during 9/11, but apparently didn't take the subway. Yeah, I would hope so. If she had powers of time travel, I'd really like a study on her. Oh, it'd be teleportation. But point still stands.
But the Islamophobes have done to this poor woman.
Oh.
The only way for this city to atone for the fear it's caused this woman
is to elect
her nephew, or rather her cousin's son, to be the next mayor of New York City.
Yeah, we must atone for our evil,
threats
right?
on my life.
I don't doubt that. I've gotten threats in my life for saying much less than he has. So, that doesn't surprise me. Moving on.
Let me put this differently. If a Christian woman or a Jewish woman says she's scared of Muslims, is that a rational fear or an irrational fear? Zohran would say it's an irrational fear. But if a Muslim woman says she's scared of non-Muslims, is that a rational fear or an irrational fear?
It would be a rational fear for her.
Zohran would.
Of course, because these are vastly different groups of people, and they're weighted differently in this man's mind. So, of course, any fear you have, this is the problem when these two ideologies merge, is that now anything the other side fears is irrational, and anything they fear is rational. That's the problem.
Say it's a rational fear, and that the Muslim woman must be.
And of course, the biggest problem is the labeling tactics. They will just nail label after label after label after label after label on things, as their hammer to persecute you, as their hammer to metaphorically nail you to the cross, to crucify you in public. Welcome to the modern day. Things don't really change now, do they?
Protected at all costs, mainly by demonizing anyone who questions or criticizes Islam, and by making her cousin's son mayor of New York City. Some fears are apparently more valid and important than others. Inequality is built into Islam. Don't take my word for it.
True.
Surah 98,
Here we go.
verse 6.
Woo! This is why I love this man. This is what I mean. He goes into this. He knows that Quran so well and knows all of this stuff. This guy is one of the best Christian apologists when it comes to dealing with Islam. He is awesome. He's amazing. Go check him out, please. If you need help getting a Christian in your life, getting a Muslim in your life to convert to Christianity, this is your guy. This is your guy. He will teach. Him and Inspiring Philosophy can teach you the Islamic dilemma. They just had a couple of videos come out on it. I might do a video on it myself. Obviously, I'm not a big channel, so mine won't spread as well as theirs will. But hey, the more wind I can get on things, and I'll do that. But here we go.
Of the Quran. Verily, those who disbelieve in the religion of Islam, the Quran, and Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, from among the people of the Scripture, Jews and Christians, and al-mushrikun, mushrikun are people who associate partners with Allah, will abide in the fire of hell. They are the worst of creatures. Jews, Christians, and other non-Muslims are the worst of creatures. We're lower than pigs, according to the Quran. So who cares what a Jewish woman or a Christian woman is scared of?
Yeah.
But Surah 3, verse 110 says that Muslims are the best of peoples ever raised up for mankind. Muslims are the best of peoples. Their fears matter.
And that alone completely contradicts the Bible. I just read it in Romans, and I will now read it to you. And this passage actually goes back to Psalms, but I have Romans open right now because that's the Bible study that I'm doing right now with my family. So I'll be right back. Here we are. So this is going to be Romans 3, starting at 10. So it'll go, as it is written, none is righteous, not one. No one understands. No one seeks for God. All have turned aside. Together they have become worthless. No one does good, not even one. Their throats an open grave. They use their tongues to deceive. The venom of asps is under their lips. Their mouth is full of curses and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. In their paths are ruin and misery. And the way of peace is to have not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Compare that to what was just read in the Quran. But the Quran, as well in Surah 1094, affirms my book. It affirms the Bible. So you have that. And it affirms the Bible. But at the same time, my Bible says that about people. All people is what it just labeled all of us. And I'll go into a dissertation on that real quick. Yes, we are all evil. And it is only through God that we can do good. We are not good people ourselves. This is why I continuously espouse I'm not a good person. This is why I continuously say I don't believe in good people. I don't believe anyone is good. There's only one good person who's ever walked this earth. His name was Jesus Christ. This is why I believe that. And the other reason why I can say that is that as you read through scripture and stuff, you find out that God is all good. So anytime there is God in something, there is good. Anytime there is not good in something, there's an absence of God. And also, by that fact, the absence of God is evil. The absence of God is evil. Does that make sense? And probably for a lot of people, that's probably kind of really confusing. Again, I really suggest taking a read on that. On literally, as I keep saying, your best bet when starting out within the Bible is read Genesis, and at the same time you're reading Genesis, pick one of the Gospels and read them. In the Gospels are all telling the same story, but with different flavors, is the best way I can describe the Gospels. The Gospels are all telling the same story in different flavors. Okay? You've got the flavor of a tax collector. You've got the flavor of a man doing an investigation. You have Peter, etc., etc., etc. You have the one of John, all of that. These Gospels really help write in everything. Okay? And then I suggest picking either Psalms or Proverbs. If you're a man, I suggest Proverbs. If you're a woman, I suggest Psalms, personally. You'll just like the tone and flavors of them more. They speak on a lot of the same things, but one is poetic and poetry, the other is just, it's Proverbs. If you know what a proverb is, you know what a proverb is. And then on top of that, as a fifth book, I suggest you read, pick a letter, one of Paul's letters. And you might be like, wow, that's a lot of things I suggest you read all at once. Literally read a chapter a day. A chapter in that Bible is like, they can range anywhere from 50 to 100 words. Some get a little long and are way longer than that, but like many chapters you can read. Or you can read like half a chapter of one, half a chapter of another. With Psalms and Proverbs, it's a little weird. I suggest you just kind of read them until one catches your eye and kind of look into that one. What does this mean? What's the historical context of this one, etc., etc. That's really important to do. And I'm pointing this out and saying this because more people need to read this book. And not many people read this book. Many people fish in this book. And many people hear this book. They don't listen to this book. They don't read this book. And that is the current modern day problem. Reading is different than seeing it, than hearing it. It is very different.
Just ask Zohran. So, non-Muslims who are scared of Muslims are irrational bigots. Muslims who are scared of non-Muslims are tragic victims of a racist population that oppresses minorities. By the way,
Yup.
who's this coming from? Zohran Mamdani.
Yep.
Zohran's father is a professor at Columbia University.
I was wondering if he was going to bring
His
this up.
mother is an Oscar-nominated film producer. And he's about to be the next...
I gotta get this video to Nux, bro. I gotta get this video to Nux. I got to get him to cover this video, bro. I gotta get on Kick and get this man to look up this video.
Mayor of New York City. This is a family of immigrants. One's a professor at an Ivy League school. One's a filmmaker. And
Yep.
one's about to be mayor of a city of more than 8 million people.
Yep.
And Zohran can't stop complaining about how Muslims are being horribly oppressed in this Islamophobic, hate-filled country of racists and bigots. Why do people like Zohran Mamdani, no matter how many blessings are showered upon them in America,
Yep.
keep complaining about the horrible oppression of Muslims here?
Because right now our society works by the more you whine and complain about how awful your life is and how miserable things are, the more sympathy you get, and the more sympathy you get, the more things you gain. I'll be honest with you, my life sucks right now. I got a lot of stressors going on with it. I ain't gonna tell none of you that. You don't need to know. What happens is what happens. I'm fine with the consequences. I'm fine with whatever happens. It is what it is. God has me in his hands. God will do with me as he needs me to. So I don't need all of those worries handled. I give my worries to God, as that book asks me to do. And God will put the pieces in my life that I need to go in the right directions.
I mean, if Muslims really thought that America is a terrible place for them, why would they want to move here? They want to move here for the same reason lots of other people want to move here.
Yep.
It's just way easier to be successful in the United States than it is in many other countries. So why is Zohran obsessed with portraying Muslims as victims? Because portraying yourself as a victim is the easiest and most effective way to manipulate Americans. If you want Americans to vote,
it's so
for,
easy to manipulate
even when
us.
you have
Our hearts are so open and so compassionate and so sympathetic as Americans, to the point where we can be abused by evil with it. And I'll stress this again. Something that everyone needs to know and understand is that compassion cannot begot evil. Compassion cannot give way to evil. If your compassion is allowing room for evil, you are not being compassionate towards that person or towards that thing. If you are allowing evil to happen via your compassion, you need to fix the way you are being compassionate, because you're allowing for evil. So therefore, you're not being loving. You're not actually being compassionate, by definition. Because the problem is still there. It's still causing problems. It's still doing its wrong. It's still doing its evil.
absolutely no qualifications. If you want to block criticism, even when you support terrorists, all you have to do is weaponize people's good intentions. People want to help a victim. So if you want to take advantage of them, be a perpetual victim. Zohran's song Salam is a masterclass here. Certainly not a masterclass on how to rap. It would be more like a masterclass on how to add a C to the front of rap. But it is a masterclass on stirring.
I'll also should mention, the rattling you're hearing is the bag of chips that I have next to me. I know my audio is terrible. I don't have a noise gate. Dealing with a 10-year-old mic and a headset that is just really upset and angry with the headset jack. So that's why all the things are so kerfuffled. And I'm not in a place of income where that is manageable right now.
Bring up sympathy right before promoting terrorism. So, Zohran begins his song Salam by telling everyone about his aunt, later clarified as his father's cousin Zehra. We'll call her Auntie Zehra. Auntie Zehra was too scared to leave her apartment because New York City is so racist.
I'd love Asman to get this video, and I'd love Nux to do this video. I think I really am going to try today to like see if I can get this video to Nux and see if I can get this video to Asman. I doubt Asman will watch it. I'd probably get banned out of Asman's chat for posting it in there. But it'd be worth a shot. Because I don't think Asman's ever done a deep dive or investigation on these kind of things. And I think it would change a lot about his opinions and views on a lot of things.
Racist and Islamophobic. He starts with that. Then, once he's got his dozens of fans enraged at all the racist New Yorkers abusing Muslims, he says,
My love to the Holy Land 5, you better look 'em up.
My love to the Holy Land 5, you better look 'em up.
My love to the Holy Land 5, you better look 'em up.
Okay, man, we'll look 'em up. Just stop rapping. From the New York Times, the 5 defendants, all leaders of the Holy Land Foundation for Relief and Development, based in Richardson.
So this is another common tactic that Islam likes to do. Just read that name, then we're going to find out what these guys did, which you can already read what they did.
The Dallas suburb were convicted on all 108 criminal counts against them, including support of terrorism, money laundering, and tax fraud. The group was accused of funneling millions of dollars to the Palestinian militant group Hamas, an Islamist organization the government declared to be a terrorist group in 1995.
Wow!
Who are the Holy Land 5? The Holy Land 5 are a group of 5 Palestinian American Muslims who were sentenced to a total of 180 years in prison for running a charity that collected donations in the U.S. and funneled these donations to Hamas. The next mayor of New York City says he loves those guys.
That's awesome.
But you can't criticize him for supporting the Holy Land 5, because if you do...
Let me guess. Let me see if I can get all the words this time. I'm Islamophobic, I'm racist, I'm a hateful bigot. I'm still probably missing a few. Again, I'm really bad with this whole labeling thing, so...
You'll be just like the Islamophobes who kept terrorizing his poor...
See? This is why I can't do it, guys. This is why I can't. I suck at it. I can't be a leftist because I can't label right.
Auntie every time she tried to ride the train in New York City. See, if you convince people that you're the real victim, you can get away with almost anything. Just ask the Pakistani grooming gangs in the UK. If you're the real victim, you can even get away with hanging out with Imam Siraj Wahaj, who's an unindicted co-conspirator in the 1993 bombing of the World Trade Center.
That's fantastic. Super fantastic people this man hangs around. Some could say the best of people, maybe. Oh my god. Like, do people just not look into anything anymore and just look at everything at surface level and just go do 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 la 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 la. I don't think about anything. Like holy cow, people! Like I know reading comprehension and literacy rate is falling like a stone from a cliff, but like please bring it back from the depths, because we are going to be in so much trouble so quickly if we let that keep falling off like that. Like, oh my gosh, this is terrifying.
Imam Siraj has some powerful advice for young Muslims like Zohran Mamdani.
You don't get involved because it's the American thing to do. You get involved in politics because politics can be a weapon to use in the cause of Islam.
Politics can be a weapon to use in the
spooky. Very spooky.
The cause of Islam.
Ugh.
It sure can be. So, is Zohran Mamdani an Islamist who's pretending to be a socialist in order to win votes and pave the way for the Islamization of New York City? I don't know. It would fit the previous pattern of 12er Shias. Zohran is a 12er Shia. 12er Shias are the guys who took over Iran during the Iranian Revolution.
Wait,
would fit the previous pattern of 12er votes and pave the way for the Islamization of New York City? I don't know. It would fit the previous pattern of 12er Shias. Zohran is a 12er Shia.
No. Oh boy. That's oh boy.
12er Shias are the guys who took over Iran during the Iranian Revolution. How did they take over Iran? By forming an alliance with socialists and communists.
Oh.
The 12er Shias, socialists, and communists formed an alliance. They drove out the Shah. They celebrated their victory. And then the 12er Shias executed the socialists and communists.
Wow.
So, an Islamist aligning himself with socialists and communists to take down a common enemy would fit the 12er Shia MO. But socialists and communists also want Muslims on their side, so Zohran could be a committed socialist or communist using Islamic talking points to get Muslims to vote for him.
Yeah.
Not enough to go on yet. It's always a concern when we see someone who's been handed everything in life moaning and wailing about being a victim.
Agreed.
And it's a bigger concern when we see him openly praising a group of men for funding.
Yeah, that one's a big red flag. That one's the biggest red flag.
A terrorist group. There are also some other issues, like his response when he was asked to condemn the phrase globalize the Intifada, and he said, well, it's not the language I would use, but
Oh, cool.
Intifada means uprising. The Intifada in the early 2000s involved lots of shootings and more than 100 suicide bombings, and it resulted in the deaths of around 1,000 Israelis and 3,000.
I remember seeing that in when I was 5-6 years old, seeing that on the TV, because I remember there were a lot of talk of Israel and stuff like that at that time. It was really bad.
Palestinians. When people on New York City college campuses start screaming that this needs to be globalized, seems like something a future mayor should condemn without qualification.
Yep.
Unless he actually supports it or he's worried about upsetting his voters who support it.
Ugh.
But here again, an Islamist, a socialist, or a communist could all run a campaign like this while trying to get political power. You don't always know where they really stand until they get the political power.
And that's the shitty and
what
scary
Zohran
thing.
really is doesn't matter a whole lot for two reasons. One, Islamism, socialism, and communism would all be catastrophically bad for New York City. Pick your poison, any one of them leads to a disaster here. Two, no matter where Zohran's loyalties lie, this guy becoming mayor sends a dangerous message to jihadis. My concern here is based on 3 pictures I saw 24 years ago while I was in college. My best friend back then was a Muslim named Nabil Qureshi.
Nabil is so awesome. It's really sad that he's passed away. Nabil's story is really, really awesome. There's you can find his testimony on YouTube if you look up Nabil Qureshi turn to Christianity. You can find it everywhere. He wrote a book that's actually really popular and really common, and David is in that book. David is the one who converted Nabil to Christianity. There's a funny story there too, but I'm not going to get involved in that. It's too many tangents for one video. Needless to say, yeah, this go look up Nabil Qureshi as well. His story is super awesome, super interesting. Needless to say though, like what David's probably about to reveal here, because I haven't heard this, it's probably pretty crazy.
Nabil eventually became a Christian, so I had him send me the pictures for occasions just like this.
Yep.
A few months after the September 11th attacks, Nabil showed me some pictures that were being passed around by his Muslim cousins and friends on the internet. Nabil thought they were absolutely hilarious. First was a picture of then-President George W. Bush as a Muslim, and I have to admit that one was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Old W looked...
Yeah, actually... this is early meme culture, and you can already see the quality presentations we have here in early meme culture. This is 2001, boys. This is 2001. Look at meme culture today. I think this is better meme culture, in all honesty. Better quality, better production.
Like he joined the Taliban. The second was a picture of the Statue of Liberty, with Lady Liberty's face covered by a veil.
There's also someone in the veil, but I think that's unintended. But needless to say, this has horrifying implications. On top of that, if you look at the book she's holding, I believe that is... I don't remember what that is. I think it's a hadith, is the label on the front of that. It might actually be the Quran in Arabic. I don't read Arabic yet, so...
That picture wasn't so funny. It was the Statue of Liberty, a symbol of freedom and justice, covered by a full veil, a symbol of oppression and Sharia law.
Yeah.
Now, those two pictures made their way around the internet, so lots of people have seen them. But the third picture is the one that was a bit more disturbing, and for whatever reason, Muslims kept this one to themselves, so it didn't gain much attention. I'm talking about a photoshopped picture of New York City covered in mosques and minarets. In the bottom corner, it said, New York City, 2006. It was supposed to be a postcard from the future. Again, this was 2001, shortly after the...
And what's spooky is just move that number up to a 2.
9/11 attacks. But the postcard was from 5 years in the future. The idea was that in just a few years...
Put a 2 where one of those zeros is.
New York City would be dominated by Islam. The terrorist attacks had cleared the ground for the construction of new mosques, and they led to an eventual victory. So, this was a prediction, a prophecy, if you will. There were Muslims who believed that the 9/11 attacks would somehow, by the power and wisdom and plan of Allah, lead to Muslims taking over New York City. They were off on their timing by almost 20 years, but it looks like they were correct. They are going to be very, very encouraged by Zohran's victory, no matter where his ultimate loyalties lie. New Yorkers are voting to send a message. And the message is, hey jihadis, you were right about us. Nearly 25 years after 9/11, we're handing control of the city to a Muslim who really, really doesn't seem to have the best of intentions. Dangerous message. And that's why Zohran Mamdani
is
more dangerous than you think. He's the fulfillment of a 24-year-old prophecy about 9/11 leading to the victory of Islam over New York City. You asked for it, New York. And now you're going to get it.
That is actually really scary and really spooky. Well, that's going to be it for this video, guys. I've been trying to keep the content a little bit on the brighter side of things. Obviously, this one was a bit darker, but hey, gotta have honesty, gotta have truth, right? Catch you guys all later. Remember to like, sub, comment, subscribe. Bye.